Welcome to my channel Study Time. So today we will do the extra questions from the poem The Frog and the Nightingale. Question number 1 here is attempt a character portrayal of the frog on the basis of your reading of the poem. Confidence in oneself is the key to success. This can be applied to the character of the frog who has the knack of turning all unfavorable winds in his favor. He declares himself to be the only one with a splendid baritone in his bog. Not only this, he wants to remain as the unrivaled musical maestro. This is evident from his ill treatment of the nightingale, who happened to challenge his supremacy. He knows all clever ways of the world, when to be gentle and when to be aggressive. With his clever manipulations, he impresses upon the nightingale to such an extent that she considered him no less than Mozart. Once she submits herself to him as her trainer, he adopts all mercenary ways to dominate her. He scolds, insults, and reprimands her in all possible ways in such an extent that the poor creature loses her self-esteem and finally dies. Not only this, he is no less scheming. He earns silver by selling her songs to those who came to listen to her songs. People like the frog are present in every nook and corner of the society in the present time. The poet, through his character, has warned the readers aware to beware of such false friends. Next question here is in this fast-paced world, simple beings like Nightingale bear the brunt of the modern society. Brunt means you can say a stress or a burden of the modern society. Keeping in mind the Nightingale, attempt a correct sketch of the Nightingale that led to her doom. तो आज के वर्ल्ड में ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं सोसाइटी में, मॉडर्न सोसाइटी में, जिनकी वजह से नाइटिंगेल जैसे लोग बहुत ही ज़्यादा प्रेशर और स्ट्रेस फेस करते हैं. So the answer is there can be no denying of the fact that simple, honest and innocent people are misfits in the society of the present time. Nightingale was so humble, tender and simple that she could not enjoy the fruit of her success, the applause of the audience. It was snatched away by the cold, calculating villain, that is, the frog. The poor nightingale was full of regard for her trainer, who exploited her thoroughly of her innocence and sold her song for silver. As she was very gullible and credulous. Gullible means जो बहुत ही जल्दी दूसरों पे ट्रस्ट कर लेते हैं. ओवर ट्रस्टिंग थी, इजीली डिसीव्ड थी, and she could not understand why the frog made her practice excessively. She was scolded, humiliated to such an extent that she lost control on herself and died of bursting a vein. Such humble creatures have such pathetic fate in store for them that they are used and thrown away like discarded useless coins. We feel sorry for the nightingale as she dies a painful death. All her talent of a great singer drains out because of her innocence. But then we don't want the world to be dominated by the crooks of the kind of the frog. So the message that the poet wants to convey through the character of the nightingale is that simplicity, gentleness, meekness, and submissiveness, as characterized by her, are the hallmarks of a person's character, but these qualities need to be sheltered and protected with the defiant strength so that no sly creature of the world ever dares to empower it. Question number 3. The poem The Frog and the Nightingale is a spoof in the present society. Spoof means fraud, where success is determined by influence and not by talent. Comment. तो हमने भी देखा है कि फ्रॉग किस तरह से सक्सेसफुल हुआ जो भी वो चाहता था करने के लिए. So, in this world of cutthroat competition, the poet Vikram Seth wants to hit hard on the minds of the readers that talent in the present times has to face a stiff competition from all sides, where the talented ones burn themselves day and night to receive the accolades of success. It it is the influential ones who always run away with the cake. This directly applies to the character of the nightingale, whose talent is killed before it could openly bloom. The poet tells how the talented young poor artists are shown the gates of the back door by the clever money seekers, whose pockets are filled by those who have power and wealth, and the ones like the frog who are not even aware of the nuances of the field enjoy sole monopoly, and success is with the one who is making money. Poor, humble people like the nightingale even have to risk their lives in order to gain recognition. And influential people like the frog even go to the extent of killing the talented. The hypocrite and the manipulative achieve success in the present times, whether they possess any talent or not is insignificant. The defeat of the nightingale and the victory of the frog bring home this very point. The Frog and the Nightingale is a social satire, an attempt to criticize the various discriminations that exist in modern world, that is causing a steady destruction of real talent by the frogs in the society. What is your opinion on the reality events where children are humiliated by the judges, which is perhaps the concern of the poet? तो आज की जो सोसाइटी है वहाँ ये सब चीज़ें बहुत ही आम है, ये सब होता रहता है। तो जो रियलिटी इवेंट्स भी होती हैं वहाँ पर भी चिल्ड्रंस को ह्यूमिलेट किया जाता है बाय द जजेस। So the reality events are here to stay. In fact, channels compete with each other to make their event more absurd than the others. And this indeed a very pathetic and worrisome reality. It has been noticed several times that the person who is appointed as a judge is absolutely clueless about how to do his job, as he is not qualified for the job. Very often, to raise the viewership of the show, the channel resort to unhealthy practices of rebuking the participants without regards to the harm it would cause to the participants' mental health. There have been incidents of children going into depression for being humiliated by the judges. Just as the frogs destroyed the very existence of the talented nightingale, these frogs eat into the psyche of the child and destroy his very identity and self-confidence, sealing his fate for a dismal future. It becomes necessary, therefore, that respect of art and the artist is an essential part of the process of judgment. Probably things would be easier if such competitions come at a lesser price and not the huge cost of the loss of the dignity of an artist. It is also necessary for the artists and competitors to be worldly wise and develop the mental strength to face challenges along with having an understanding of one's own abilities and shortcomings. Failure is definitely a stepping stone to success and does not mark the end of the world. Our self image is often based on what others make us believe we are. A poor self image can be irreparable damage to us. Do you agree with this statement? Elaborate. तो जो लोग हमें जैसा कहते हैं हम लोग जनरली बिलीव करते हैं. तो self image refers to the observation and understanding of one's abilities, appearance, and personality, typed by the individual himself or herself and not that made by another person. This is the only road that will motor the wheels without allowing spokes to act as hurdles in the journey of life. Self image should not be a reason to belittle or demean the self, but to develop on one's capabilities and work on the disabilities. A low self image gives rise to a low self esteem, and this could cause irreparable damage. Similarly, if we depend on a second person and his opinion to understand ourselves, it would be a disaster. As such, an assessment would be laced with prejudice and hypocrisy. If we do not understand ourselves, we would face the same plight as the nightingale, who did not have a clue about her talent and abilities. Be a person with a strong conviction and feel firmly placed on the ground to avoid succumbing to flattery, to rebuke, for both of these are detrimental to our mental peace and calm. Be not the Caesar, but who was stabbed in the back, or the frog who was quite brazen in his act. Bring out the irony of the frog's statement. Your song must be your own. It is in your exercise also, in the question answers also. This question is given in the book. The statement, your song must be your own, is ironic in nature, as throughout the poem, the frog coaxes the nightingale to sing like him. The poor nightingale is scolded by the frog when he says, "You must practice even longer till your voice like mine grows stronger." Nightingale tries her best but could not sing as expected by the frog, bursts away, and finally dies. Every creature is born with individual differences. Talents differ, all is well and wisely put. How could a tender creature sing with the harshness of a frog? तो ये तो बात ही नहीं बनती थी, लेकिन वो उसको बार बार फोर्स करता था. The gullible nightingale couldn't understand this, क्योंकि वो ओवर ट्रस्टिंग थी, उसको नहीं पता था अपनी कैपेबिलिटीज के बारे में, वो जस्ट फ्रॉग को ट्रस्ट करती थी. एंड व्हेन द नाइटिंगेल डाइज, द फ्रॉग immediately changes his statement that she should have known that your song must be your own. Therefore, this statement is ironic in nature, as it proved detrimental, claiming the life of the nightingale and turning the fortune of the frog that makes him the unrivaled king of the box. तो पूरी टाइम तो वो उसको कुछ और कहता रहा, लेकिन एट द एंड ही सडनली चेंजेस. Question is, do you think the end is justified? See, the end is justified and is a lesson to all those who very soon come under the influence of others, especially those who are strangers. तो किसी की बातों में नहीं आना चाहिए. The nightingale commits this mistake and pays the penalty for it. As soon as the frog discovers the weak and humble nature of the nightingale, he tries to lower her self-esteem, saying that she needs more improvement in singing. And vain and credulous nightingale falls in his trap to never come out of it. Her sad end leaves a message that if one wants to succeed, one must have self-confidence in one's own abilities, even if one is exceptionally talented. तो अपने ऊपर सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस होना बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है, किसी की बातों में नहीं आना चाहिए. Do you think the nightingale is brainless? Give reasons for your answer. This is again another question from the back exercise. I would not consider the nightingale as brainless, but would regard her as a simple, innocent creature, as she fails to understand the patronizing nature of frog. तो इसके दो आंसर्स हो सकते हैं. Some people can say it's yes, she was brainless, and some people can disagree to this. So she is too meek, knave, and fawning. We feel sorry for her when she calls her killer, and the great Mozart and feels elated when he starts giving her training. The repeated restless training given by the frog makes her voice so hoarse and quivering that it loses the original melody. Even at this stage, she is so timid and gullible to speak herself out, and when the frog tells her to puff her lungs, she should have told her limits, because she doesn't do so owing to her poor self-image. She dies ultimately. Do you agree with the frog's inference of the nightingale's character? Give reason for your answer. The frog is very clever and crafty in comparison to the simple character of the nightingale. Being high-headed, he establishes a sound opinion of the nightingale that she is a very polite creature. He infers her well and personally opines that she is stupid, and she flatters him to be a Mozart. He draws her well through his manipulative ways and earns handsomely by selling her melodious songs. But he was also worried about his career as an unrivaled king of the burg. For this he is so insensitive that he slyly scolds and humiliates the poor creature to such an extent that, unable to cope up with her declining health and sorrowful life, she dies, and the frog's foghorn once again blares through the bog unrivaled. Another question is, in spite of having a melodious voice and being a crowd puller, the nightingale turns out to be a loser and dies. How far is she responsible for her own downfall? See, though the nightingale's melodious voice has a great appeal, and creatures from miles around come to listen to her beautiful voice, still she has to face a painful death. There is a time in her life when she is applauded by the titled crowd, and the tree is bored with the crowd of the audience. But her meek, submissive, and ignorant nature brings her to the verge of downfall. Continuous scolding and reprimanding by the frog makes her subdued, sorrowful, and dull to such an extent that she finally dies. The Nightingale had talent, but talent alone does not ensure success. Nightingale lacked self-confidence, and the poor self-image led her to self-destruction. उसके पास सब कुछ था, एक अच्छी वॉइस थी, बट उसके पास सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं था. जैसे फ्रॉग ने कहा, वो बिल्कुल वैसा ही करती रही. Thank you so much. If you like the video, kindly like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much.